Stand in the middle of New York City and look up. Towering glass skyscrapers stretch toward the clouds. Historic stone buildings stand proudly beside them, and bridges connect a city that never seems to stop building. But New York was not always a city of skyscrapers.
Hey guys,
400
please
years
subscribe
ago,
my
this
channel,
place was
hit
just
the
a
like
small
button.
settlement of wooden houses and dirt roads. The incredible architecture we see today was built step by step through centuries of ambition, innovation, and competition. This is the story of how New York became one of the most architecturally fascinating cities in the world. The early colonial city. In the early 1600s, the area that would become New York was known as New Amsterdam, a small trading colony founded by the Dutch West India Company. The buildings were simple and practical. Most homes were made of wood, with steep roofs designed to survive harsh winters. Streets were narrow and unplanned, resembling the crowded towns of Europe. After the British took control in 1664, the city was renamed New York, and architecture slowly began to change. Brick
Hey
buildings
guys,
replaced
please
wooden
subscribe my
homes,
channel,
and
hit
churches
the
and
like
public
button.
buildings became larger and more decorative. But the real transformation of the city would come centuries later. The rise of the American city. During the 1800s, New York experienced explosive growth as immigrants from Europe arrived in massive numbers. The population grew rapidly, and the city began expanding northward on the island of Manhattan. New architectural styles began appearing across the city. Elegant Greek Revival buildings, inspired by ancient Greece, became popular for banks and government buildings. Large columns and symmetrical designs gave these structures a powerful and classical look. At the same time, crowded neighborhoods were filled with tenement buildings, narrow apartment structures built quickly to house thousands of immigrants. These buildings were often cramped and poorly ventilated, but they became an essential part of New York's urban landscape.
Hey guys,
One of the most
please
famous
subscribe my
architectural
channel,
achievements
hit
of this
the
era
like
was the
button.
creation of Central Park, designed by Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Vaux. The park brought a beautiful green escape into the heart of the crowded city. The age of skyscrapers. By the late 19th century, New York architects and engineers were ready to build something the world had never seen before: skyscrapers. New technologies such as steel frames and elevators allowed buildings to grow taller than ever before. One of the earliest skyscrapers was the Flatiron Building, completed in 1902. Its unique triangular shape quickly made it one of the most recognizable buildings in the city. Soon, a race began to build the tallest structure in the world. In 1930, the Chrysler Building stunned the world with its elegant Art Deco design and shining steel crown. But only a year later, it was surpassed by the legendary Empire
Hey
State
guys,
Building,
please
which stood
subscribe
as
my
the
channel,
tallest
hit
building
the
on Earth
like
for
button.
nearly 40 years. These skyscrapers transformed New York's skyline into a symbol of ambition and modern engineering. Modern architecture and a changing skyline. After World War II, architecture in New York entered a modern era. Glass and steel towers began replacing older stone buildings. The skyline continued evolving with iconic structures such as the World Trade Center, completed in the 1970s. At the time, they were among the tallest buildings in the world. Today, the skyline continues to grow with new architectural marvels like One World Trade Center, a symbol of resilience and renewal. A living museum of architecture. What makes New York unique is that its architecture tells a story across centuries. Walk a few blocks
Hey
and you can
guys,
see
please
colonial-era
subscribe my
buildings,
channel, hit
19th
the
century
like button.
brownstones, Art Deco skyscrapers, and futuristic glass towers standing side by side. Each building represents a different chapter in the city's history. In many ways, New York City itself is a living museum of architecture, constantly changing, but always remembering the past. And as long as the city keeps dreaming bigger, the skyline will continue reaching higher into the sky.